Did you know that psychological studies confirm sibling relationships are often the longest lasting bonds most human beings will ever experience in their entire lives, frequently outlasting our parents, our marriages, and our friendships? Today, we are breaking down the top 10 movies featuring the most powerful, complex, and iconic sibling relationships ever captured on camera. Prepare for an emotional cinematic journey through heartbreak, humor, sacrifice, and unconditional love. Number 1, The Savages, 2007. What happens when two adult siblings who can barely manage their own chaotic personal lives are suddenly forced to reunite and take care of their dying estranged father? In The Savages, directed by Tamara Jenkins and starring Academy Award nominees Laura Linney and Philip Seymour Hoffman, cinema receives one of its most brutally honest, painfully relatable, and darkly funny examinations of middle-aged sibling dynamics. Wendy, an insecure, struggling playwright living in a cramped New York apartment, and her brother John, a cynical college professor living in Buffalo, have spent their adult lives perfecting the art of emotional avoidance. They have kept a safe, comfortable distance both from their abusive past and from each other. However, their fragile status quo shatters completely when their estranged father's declining mental health and battle with dementia forces them to step in, make tough medical decisions, and move him into a nursing facility. Number 2, The Skeleton Twins, 2014. Can a shared history and a razor-sharp pitch-black sense of humor save two people who find themselves standing on the absolute edge of total self-destruction? Directed by Craig Johnson, The Skeleton Twins pair Saturday Night Live icons Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig in a career-defining dramatic comedy that brilliantly exposes the razor-thin line separating deep familial love from shared psychological despair. Milo and Maggie are estranged fraternal twins who haven't spoken a single word to each other in over 10 years. On the exact same day, halfway across the country from one another, both twins reach absolute rock bottom and attempt to take their own lives. When Milo ends up hospitalized in Los Angeles, Maggie flies out to rescue him, bringing him back to live with her and her sweet, cheerful, completely unsuspecting husband in their quiet childhood hometown in upstate New York. Living under the exact same roof once again forces Milo and Maggie to confront their broken marriages, rampant infidelity, buried career failures, and deeply rooted depression inherited from their late father. Yet, amid the heavy emotional darkness, the magnetic, unspoken language of twinship instantly reemerges. Whether they are lip-syncing frantically to 1980s pop classics to break the tension or trading wicked, hyper-specific inside jokes that nobody else would understand, their shared bond quickly becomes their ultimate lifeline. Number 3. What's Eating Gilbert Grape, 1993. What happens to a young man's spirit when his entire youth, personal ambition, and emotional energy are swallowed whole by his unwavering devotion to protecting his younger brother? What's Eating Gilbert Grape, directed by Lasse Hallström, stands as a timeless cinematic masterpiece exploring family duty, selfless sacrifice, and the heavy emotional toll involved in full-time sibling caretaking. In the dead-end, sleepy town of Endora, Iowa, Gilbert Grape, Johnny Depp, works a low-paying job at a failing local grocery store while shouldering the crushing weight of supporting his entire family. Following his father's tragic suicide years prior, Gilbert's mother sank into severe depression, becoming morbidly obese and housebound. This leaves young Gilbert as the primary financial provider and full-time guardian for his younger brother Arnie, played by Leonardo DiCaprio in a legendary star-making performance, who lives with severe developmental disabilities. Number 4, You Can Count on Me, 2000. Few films in the history of independent cinema have captured the messy, chaotic, and unpredictable nature of adult brother-sister relationships as authentically as Kenneth Lonergan's directorial masterpiece, You Can Count on Me. Starring Laura Linney and Mark Ruffalo, this deeply human film examines what happens when unconditional love collides head-on with personal responsibility. Sammy, a protective single mother and organized bank teller, leads a quiet, highly structured life in her small hometown in upstate New York. Her peaceful routine is thrown into absolute disarray when her younger brother, Terry, a drifting, volatile, and deeply troubled ex-con, unexpectedly turns up at her doorstep asking for financial help. Having lost both of their parents in a horrific car crash when they were just young children, Sammy and Terry share a tragic, foundational trauma that binds them together forever, despite their vastly different lifestyles and values. Sammy eagerly opens her home to Terry, desperately hoping he will settle down, rebuild his life, and serve as a positive father figure for her young son, Rudy. while Terry brings an intoxicating warmth, spontaneity, and genuine affection into their quiet home. His self-destructive habits, violent impulses, and reckless decision-making constantly threaten to destroy the fragile stability Sammy has worked so hard to build. Number 5. Grave of the Fireflies, 1988. Universally regarded as one of the most devastatingly powerful anti-war films ever committed to celluloid, Studio Ghibli's Grave of the Fireflies, directed by the legendary Isao Takahata, strips away all Hollywood sentimentality to deliver an unforgettable story about brotherly devotion in the face of apocalyptic catastrophe. Set during the terrifying final months of World War II in Japan, the narrative follows Seita, a brave teenage boy, and his innocent 4-year-old little sister, Setsuko. After a horrifying American firebombing raid destroys their entire city, kills their mother, and reduces their home to ash, Seita takes on the complete responsibility of caring for his little sister. Refusing to endure the cruel, manipulative treatment of their cold-hearted aunt, Seita decides to take Setsuko and make a home inside an abandoned, muddy bomb shelter along the countryside. As local food supplies rapidly dry up and starvation sets in across the war-torn nation, Seita goes to extreme, desperate lengths to maintain Setsuko's fragile sense of childhood wonder. He catches hundreds of glowing fireflies to illuminate their pitch-black shelter at night, invents playful games out of thin air, and creates elaborate lies about their parents to protect her from the crushing reality of their situation. Number 6. Frozen, 2013. When Walt Disney Animation Studios broke away from its traditional fairy tale storytelling conventions in 2013, it delivered a revolutionary message to millions of viewers worldwide. The ultimate form of true, life-saving love isn't found in a prince's romantic kiss. It is found in the fierce, unshakable bond between sisters. Frozen completely redefined modern animated storytelling by centering its entire narrative on the tragic separation and ultimate redemption of two royal sisters. Elsa, born with unpredictable ice magic, spends her entire youth locked away behind closed doors after an innocent accident nearly kills her younger sister Anna. Desperate to keep Anna safe from her volatile powers, Elsa cuts off all contact, leaving Anna confused, isolated, and longing for her sister's love inside a vast, silent castle. When Elsa's powers are accidentally exposed to the kingdom on her coronation day, she triggers an eternal winter and flees into the wilderness. Number 7. Little Miss Sunshine, 2006. In a family bursting at the seams with loud, narcissistic, and deeply dysfunctional personalities, sometimes a silent, eccentric teenage brother is the only true ally a young girl has in the world. Little Miss Sunshine, directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris, delivers an iconic, heartwarming comedy drama that highlights the quiet, protective bond between a teenage brother and his innocent little sister. The chaotic Hoover family piles into a broken-down yellow VW bus for a grueling 800-mile cross-country road trip to get 7-year-old Olive to a kids' beauty pageant in California. Riding along in the back row is Dwayne, Paul Dano, Olive's angsty teenage brother who has taken a strict vow of silence, inspired by his obsession with Friedrich Nietzsche, refusing to utter a single word until he achieves his dream of becoming a fighter pilot. Number 8. My Neighbor Totoro, 1988. Few films in the history of global cinema have ever captured the pure, magical, and incredibly realistic experience of childhood, quite like Hayao Miyazaki's animated masterpiece, My Neighbor Totoro. Beyond its iconic forest spirits and breathtaking hand-drawn animation, the emotional heart of the story rests entirely on the believable, tender relationship between two young sisters. 10-year-old Satsuki and her 4-year-old sister Mei move into an old, creaky country house with their father to be closer to a rural hospital where their mother is recovering from a long-term illness. As they explore their new, mysterious surroundings, the two girls discover that the neighboring forest is home to friendly ancient spirits, including a massive, gentle creature named Totoro. Throughout the film, Satsuki struggles to balance her own desire to be a carefree kid with the overwhelming responsibility of acting as a surrogate mother to her clingy, highly emotional little sister. Number 9. A River Runs Through It, 1992. Directed by Robert Redford and based on Norman Maclean's acclaimed semi-autobiographical novella, A River Runs Through. It is a poetic, visual meditation on brotherly love, quiet competition, and the painful helplessness of loving someone you cannot save from their own self-destructive nature. Set against the rugged, majestic landscape of early 20th century Montana, The story traces the lives of two sons raised by a stern Presbyterian minister, Norman, Craig Sheffer, the quiet, disciplined, and academic older brother, and Paul, Brad Pitt, the rebellious, wildly charismatic, and reckless younger brother who lives life entirely on his own dangerous terms. Despite their drastically different personalities and life choices, the two brothers are united by a shared obsession with fly fishing, which becomes their private, sacred language. As they grow into adulthood, Norman watches with growing horror as Paul spirals into heavy alcoholism, violent bar fights, and crippling gambling debts with dangerous underworld figures. The narrative explores the frustrating boundaries of sibling support, illustrating how painful it is to love a brother intensely while realizing you are completely powerless to stop his self-destruction. Pitt and Sheffer deliver remarkable, grounded performances that capture how brothers remain bound by their shared roots, even as life's currents pull them toward vastly different fates. Number 10. The Royal Tenenbaums, 2001. Leave it to visionary director Wes Anderson to craft one of the most eccentric, melancholic, and enduringly famous family dynamics in modern cinema history. The Royal Tenenbaums follows a family of former child prodigies who reunite as deeply depressed, washed-up adults under the roof of their eccentric childhood home. Chaz, Ben Stiller, a high-strung financial genius grieving his late wife, Margot, Gwyneth Paltrow, a secretive chain-smoking adopted playwright, and Richie, Luke Wilson, a former professional tennis champion suffering a quiet emotional breakdown, were once celebrated worldwide for their extraordinary childhood talents. Decades later, broken by premature success and personal grief, all three siblings retreat back to their family estate. While the family suffers under the selfish antics of their patriarch Royal, Gene Hackman, the true heart of the film lies in the unspoken understanding between the three siblings. Having endured the immense pressure of child stardom together, Chaz, Margot, and Richie share a unique, protective language that nobody outside their family circle can comprehend. Anderson balances absurd, stylized visual comedy with raw, emotional pain, showing how adult siblings ultimately serve as each other's final safety net when the promises of childhood crash into the harsh realities of adult life. That wraps up our list of the top 10 brother and sister relationship movies. Which of these iconic sibling duos hit closest to home for you? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more epic film breakdowns.